So everyone died, and then they made sequels.
Once upon a time, there was a barnacle that was so ugly that everyone died. The end.
Wait, is that a...
That doesn't make me feel better at all.
That was a SpongeBob
Yeah.
I need to rewatch SpongeBob from scratch someday.
It's the one where SpongeBob thinks he's ugly.
It's such a great show.
And I also make references to it every freaking day.
I love it.
I'm a loser. Oops. Or the coolest kid ever.
I need to plug this
make
back
your
into
choice.
the headphones again. We had another interruption. It's fine. Interview with the Evo Devo. We are Devo biologist. Oh, I want Devo to be vampires.
I've got a gut feeling.
Dang.
Okay. I
can't get no. Death Stranding.
I was born after the Death Stranding. So my conception of what the world once was is derived entirely from documents, photographs, and videos. We didn't used to have timefall, for one, just regular rain, no chiral clouds, only the traditional masses of suspended moisture, and one certainly didn't have to worry about tar bubbling up from the underground, in most locales. Humans could travel anywhere, even into space, and we were blissfully unaware of the beach's existence. Suffice it to say, there's no doubt that this is a period of sweeping change that will have lasting repercussions for all life on Earth. Given that, dooms may simply be humanity's way of trying to adapt and survive. A beach exists within the consciousness of every individual. But these environmental changes, they affect all life on a genetic level, do they not? That is why I thought to investigate them, and the medium through which I chose to do so is the tar, which has become so ubiquitous. But you're not interested in that, I'm sure. Gosh. So you know. There is a very real possibility that we have already failed to adapt to the sixth extinction, that we are but another evolutionary dead end soon to be left behind. If that is the case, then it could be a reason that the ones afflicted with dooms are therefore blessed with an enhanced perception of the beach, are our successors who will survive and supplant us. I suppose that would be a shame, but it doesn't trouble me all that much. My research will survive me as well, and the dooms sufferers can pick up from where I left off. They'll carry on my genetic lineage, too, for that matter. No. What worries me is not even dooms will prove sufficient to endure this extinction. If that is the case, then humanity is doomed. It's certainly a possibility we have to acknowledge. But more than that, one question looms above all. Why? Why now? Why like this? That's what I want to know more than anything. Somehow, I doubt the dinosaurs and all the other species that came and went ever considered that question. Worrying over the reason for this and that is a uniquely human condition, I suppose. Yet this idle curiosity may be the key to understanding and overcoming the stranding.
I keep forgetting how long ago the Stranding happened.
I don't know.
Do we even know how long this... Did it ever come up?
Nah.
Every single message seems to be in the last 3 years, so it always feels like the Death Stranding was recent. But then this person who was an adult, who was a scientist, it was born after it, and I keep forgetting when it happened.
I don't know, Keith.
I guess it's not really. It's just not a frequent plot point. I guess so it doesn't come up enough. Like the division between people who are old enough and who aren't, and stuff like that. Like, was Dead Man built after Death Stranding? What was this world like before the Death Stranding?
I don't understand Dead Man at all.
Like our world doesn't seem to be our world. It's like a crazy advanced world.
Well, apparently at one point they were using. Well, they already went through using babies as technology.
Yeah.
So I feel like it had to have been very long for us to get to that point. Like from where we are now, I can't imagine us getting to a point where we're able to harness babies.
Babies,
and use
like
them
in the
for
Matrix.
Technology.
It's the plot of the Matrix.
Yeah.
Human batteries. What did the babies... Did the baby technology predate the Death Stranding, or was it after the Death Stranding? Because its primary usefulness is to detect BTs, which weren't around before the Death Stranding.
What I'm saying is that if this were to happen even right this second, I feel like it would still be a very long time before we figured out how to use babies to see ghosts.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I feel like it feels like it should have been a very long time.
How do you figure out how to... They just hand-waved that mostly. I don't know, someone mysterious figured it out, and then we didn't know who they were. Woo!
Woo!
Tar bubbles up from the beach, Aaron Hill. I'd heard this area was pretty inhospitable before I got here. Got your fair share of mountains, obviously, and on top of that were all these rumors about a secret terrorist base or something, so I figured I was in for a bad time. But when me and the team got here, Yeah, it was way worse than what we thought. Felt like we could get jumped any second, you know? I tell you what, though. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw all that tar out west. Wondered how the hell Amelie and her team made it through. But someone said it wasn't nearly as bad when they made the trip. I was sent out to take a closer look, and man, it was something else. And it hadn't been that long either. Hard to imagine all that bubbled up damn near overnight. Honestly, I feel like I was standing on the edge of the world. Yeah, remember Mexico existing? We don't know much about the tar, except that it wasn't around before the stranding. Same as Timefall and Chiralium. There's some speculation that it might be some byproduct of the beach, and that if you could somehow retrace the flow, you'd end up there. But that's all theoretical stuff. Right now, we've got a practical problem to deal with. One of the cryo relays we built is at risk of going under any moment. We don't have the manpower to relocate it yet, but we should once the second expedition shows up. Whether we can wait that long is another question, though. Maybe you could tell them to get their asses in gear if you get the chance. Not really anything in there, right?
Yeah, no.
I didn't get anything out of that one.
I like
Oxytocin
get
by
their asses in
Victor.
gear.
Get your asses in gear.
Which ass? Ass,
We do have more
grass, or
categories
cash?
coming. They're not all just Bridget staff.
Oh, okay, okay.
I think this is just all the miscellaneous categories where it's like one message per person.
Yeah. Well, Victor
Even
got
though
quite a few.
Lochna only had one message so far.
Well, I don't care about Lochna. She's not Mama.
Weird lack of fragile messages.
Yeah, I thought so too. But whatever.
Yeah.
And Mama too, actually. I think Mama would have more, but...
Yeah.
Well, back before the stranding, people didn't rely on smart drugs like oxytocin so much. Probably because they weren't so damn isolated. Me and my brother, Igor, we got separated from our folks after the first void out. Shit was crazy. I was just a kid, but he was even younger. Too young to have gone through all that. Spending night after night holed up in those ruins. It was rough. But we had each other. Held each other close to stay warm. And it made things better. Oh. Docs would tell you that oxy's doing this thing. The hormone the body releases when we touch each other. It's why mothers form bonds with their kids when they hold them and other stuff like that. But when the comms network's not what they were, it's more dangerous than ever to go outside. And even when you got other people around, they don't seem too keen to make physical contact. Oh, a collective aversion due to an ingrained fear of BTs and void outs, or so I've been told. Igor or Victor, maybe they just don't want to touch you, dude. I'm sorry. It's okay. Add it all up.
Don't want to touch you.
Sorry, maybe it's just you. Add it
That's
all
not
up,
nice.
and you got yourself a people that's isolated, scattered, stressed out, and insecure. So we've got no choice but to supplement our oxy levels. Fill the void left by physical affection with chemical TLC. Pretty fucked up, am I right? I know we used to go to war over race and religion and all that back in the day, but that had to be better than living like this. That's kind of sad.
No.
There are
Weren't people correcting us that oxytocin's like the thing that your brain makes to make you, like, to reward you for feeling good or whatever? And,
well,
but like,
that's what they're saying.
but they're calling it a smart drug. So in this universe, it is a drug.
Well, okay.
Oh my god.
So we went back and forth. Okay, so oxytocin is what your brain releases. Oxycodone is the drug they give you.
Yeah, but in this universe, oxytocin's a smart drug.
I was making jokes earlier about how they're treating oxytocin like drugs, and at first I thought I was making a joke, but in reality, that's actually how this world works.
In this world, it is a drug, but they still call it oxytocin because this world, they can't make new words for things.
I was joking.
They always call everything.
This guy was like, "Oh, he's got a lot of oxytocin." I was like, "Oh, he's got that oxy. He's got that oxy." But that's actually how they're treating it.
Ta-da!
Drugs, because people won't hug each other apparently, which is sad.
People just hug.
Oh, to be honest, you know what, dude? There are some days where I'm like, man, I need a hug, but it's embarrassing to ask somebody for hugs. You know?
I think that everyone in this house would hug you if you just asked for a hug.
Yeah.
I don't think that everyone's gonna be like, no,
Ew, gross.
gross feelings.
Well, sometimes I hug Eric and he won't hug me back.
The most Eric thing I've ever heard.
I know.
Why planes and drones can't fly? They don't got wings. The end. Know what I wanted to be as a kid? An astronaut. believe it or not. It says Igor, so it's 2 Victors and 2 Igors. Oh, it's the guy who died! He wanted to be an astronaut, and now he got annihilated.
Oh, man.
Antimatter annihilation is how he went out. After stabbing himself a lot, it was a rough way to come out. He really wanted to die faster than that. It didn't work. Must be hard to imagine, but back before the stranding, the skies were full of drones, airplanes, all kinds of crap zipping back and forth from continent to continent. Some of that even went up into outer space. But the Cairo clouds put an end to all that. Nothing flies now. Nah, it all came crashing down, and my dreams with it.
Oh.
Damned clouds mess with the flight system somehow. Don't ask me how. Eat up comm signals too, which is how come long-distance signals can't get through anymore. That's why we've got no idea what's happening in other countries. Set us back more than a century in that respect. People talk a lot about the stranding, setting us scrambling up from cities, severed the bonds between us. But it did more than just that. It severed the land from the sky. Damn, the Earth is stranded too. There's a lot of stranding happening. There's layers to it.
There's a lot of there's a lot of cool mythology that has to do with like the sky and the earth being like bonded or being lovers or something, and having to be separated by some mishap.
I like the superfluous title.
Pretty image.
I like the superfluous titles of these interviews. Prepper interviews. Yeah, we know.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
The engineer.
From a personal shelter. No kidding, because he's a prepper. He's locked himself up.
Yeah, all the bridge staff. A lot of the bridge staff are in personal shelters too, actually.
I guess so. But in this one, it seems kind of... but
yeah, 2 years ago.
My horizons ain't exactly broad. That said, I'm not completely cut off from the outside world. I knew what bridges was, and what they were trying to rebuild, and that they were trying to rebuild America, but when you're living down here, it's hard to see how that's got anything to do with you and yourself. Am I right? My folks holed up in the shelter after the Death Stranding, had a kid and raised him in their slice of paradise, and together we lived off whatever Fragile Express was kind enough to bring our way. They told me tales about the good old days, and I've never had much of an imagination. Couldn't see how a country long gone was any concern of me and mine. Far as I figured, if Fragile Express was happy to keep bringing us stuff, we didn't need anybody else. And we certainly didn't need America. Whatever that even was. Well, that's freaking... You guys are spoiled.
We don't need no larger organization. We don't need no government any larger thing to like. We don't need a society.
Just want free handout.
We just need this one organization that gives everything to us for free.
You need to contribute to your society.
That's confusing.
But then
it's really confusing to be entirely dependent on one organization for your entire survival, but not think that you might need like a country to happen when that's basically the point of one is to like. But
then also like how
what do you do the moment Fragile is gone?
Exactly, put your faith in that entirely. It's like if Amazon started giving me every single thing I needed, no charge, and they just kept coming to my door with food and stuff.
No, God, it's not their plan.
I feel like that's gonna happen.
One day they start drip feeding everybody everything. They're like, you don't need America anymore. You just need Amazon.
It'll be like a Wall-E.
United States of Amazon.
Give it time.
Oh no.
But then, one day, I was looking at a part for this machine my dad put together. He was an engineer too. And I noticed something. It said, made in the USA, right there in tiny print. Got me thinking that America might not exist anymore, but the stuff Americans built is still around, making our lives a little bit easier even now. He would say the old country lives on in its works, kind of like how my folks live on in me. They, died a while back. Anyway... If they were American, I guess that makes me American too. And maybe the shelter a part of it all. Once I realized that, I started pouring my heart into building stuff to help you guys put the country back together.
Dang. What a character arc.
Nah.
Terrorists posing as Fragile Express couriers from the Craftsman. The terrorists have been at it again lately. You heard, right? About how they've been sneaking in and out of cities disguised as Fragile Express couriers. We'll have another disaster in our hands at this rate, but it's not like we can just cut them out. We need Fragile's people to keep on doing what they're doing. We rely on those guys for a lot, though maybe we shouldn't. You know how like Fragile Express is like not come up in this game?
Well, not really.
There's no evidence that they do anything. Well, no, you just hear about how they used to, basically.
Yeah.
But
and then the bomb happened.
But it doesn't sound like they stopped, so it's confusing.
Well, the bomb happened.
Are they done though? Did they stop when that happened?
Yeah, because they got a bad rep. Because everyone hates Fragile.
Oh, so everyone just starved then?
I guess.
Man, Fragile's a terrorist. I guess I'll just die now. Because like there's people like the engineer that just required that to eat
I mean, like
food.
medicine and stuff, and
I don't think they were even getting food on their own.
well, they need to get good.
I don't know. I hear they're transporting weapons now. Why they'd be so stupid, I can't imagine. Spreading shit around the kills in a world where the dead are ticking BT bombs. Sure, terrorists are a threat, and mules a royal pain in the ass. But what genius figured escalation was the way to go, when we all know where it leads? We need weapons, no, tools, that can take out the bad guys without killing them. And we need the hardware and circulation gone yesterday. See, that's why I don't take lethal weapons out, because I'm a good boy. All these evil murdery people, they're all just using real guns on people. Sending me to the fucking seam or whatever it's called. We can't keep folks from dying in accidents or getting sick or getting murdered by all the murderers roaming around. We can't keep them from dying, period. But the deaths we can put off. We ought to. Violence isn't just ugly, it's damn near suicidal in this day and age. Which is why I'm looking to make a bunch of less than lethal gear in the hopes that it'll prevent a few idiots from getting themselves and the others killed. Yep. Don't kill people. It's like the first lesson you learn in this game. People didn't learn it though. Everyone's trying to kill.
Yeah, I don't know. Seems like that's such a dire situation. You think people would have adjusted by now?
Yep.
But what can you do? This is a prepper interview again. Timefall Farmers. Me is another one that starts with me. I think the last one was like me, Stephanie.
Yeah.
I used to be an ecologist. Amelie thought highly of me and my wife's research into timefall's effect on plant life. She was the one who suggested it could be used to boost agricultural production. See, timefall's radically altered the ecosystem of our entire continent. Obvious, I know. Just as it's obvious, we're powerless to stop it. So if we had the idea of trying to use it to our advantage instead, make the environment better, not worse. Easier said than done, though. Take void out craters, for example. Local chiral density is generally higher in their vicinity, which correlates with increased timefall. With that exposure, you'd think they turn lush and green again before you know it. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite pan out that way. Nothing grows in any of them. It might be the timefall's done something to the soil, but the truth is, I don't have a clue. Which is one of the reasons why me and the missus were conducting our research. Gotta say, for the record, that it hadn't crossed our minds that timefall could be used to help grow food. That idea was all Amelie, so credit where it's due.
What
you mean Amerigo Vespucci?
I just can't get over that name. Was her name just Amerigo, or was her name Amerigo Vespucci? Did she have the full name?
I'm gonna just go with Amerigo Vespucci.
Last names don't make sense in this universe either. I thought her name was Columbus.
I thought it was Columbus.
The junk dealer. Incredible, isn't it? Or yeah, this is what I call it. I keep looking for a title, but there isn't one for these basically. Incredible, isn't it? This hourglass. See how the sand flows upward? Got chiral particles in it. That's why it moves like that. And look at the shape of the glass. So elegant, so delicate. Just like the girl who made it. Hard to believe it's even in this world. But it was made by human hands, all right. Crazy, isn't it? No wonder everyone in South Knot City knows her work. You can't imagine how I felt when she gave it to me. I guess you could say it's the thank you present. She'd asked me to fix something for her, and this is what I got in return. You know, I've done jobs for all kinds over the years, but none of my other customers ever did anything like this for me. Most will just toss you a couple likes, and that's the end of it. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with a like or two, it's just... this was different. The moment she gave me this hourglass, I knew I wanted to be with her. Never happened, though. And cut out for love and relationships. Don't have what it takes. Other people kind of scare me, to be honest. Still, even if it can't be together, at least I'll still have this hourglass. Did he fall in love with her just because she's the only person he's ever gotten a gift from? Instead of a like? Because they're so fucking fixated on the likes, which are meaningless in this universe.
Yeah.
But they can't stop fixating on that as a payment system, which doesn't do anything. That like the moment time you got a gift,
the
in
moment
response,
she gave me this hourglass,
like, oh
I knew I
my
wanted to be with
god!
her.
Did I just discover Christmas? I want to fuck it.
Santa, watch out, Santa.
Oh no.
Santa's like the most loved man in all of America.
An unknown man's journal. Oh, it's all the way down there.
I'm gonna like have to make some stupid. I'm gonna make a card and give it to someone, and they'll be mine forever.
The photographer.
This is the photographer's mother, a personal shelter. It wasn't long ago we moved to this shelter, the three of us. Before that, we used to live in the city until my husband up and said we had to leave. He was so insistent, I didn't have any choice but to go along with it. I couldn't take care of our daughter by myself. He said he was sick of city life, and I can't say I don't understand it all. I mean, Temple might not have been an issue or BTs, but I can see how a safe and comfortable life might become suffocating. Well, our daughter might be happy and healthy, but we're the exception. Hardly anyone's even having children these days. You don't need a crystal ball to see where this world's headed. My husband says we're bound for extinction, says nobody's doing anything about it. People would rather stick their head in the sand and try to wait out the storm. If we don't figure out the Death Stranding and fix this world of ours, that's all she wrote. My husband says that a lot. That maybe he's just a guy with a camera, but at least he's doing something, and so on. He's out again somewhere investigating something. Recently he started taking our daughter with him, teaching her to take photos of rocks and murals and the like. I'm glad they're spending time together, and I know it's good for her education, but I still hate it when they go out and leave me here to wait and pray that they come back home safe and sound.
The mountaineer husband.
Ooh.
Parentheses. People aren't meant to stay cooped up inside or live in one place forever. It's not natural. Exploration's in our DNA. The great outdoors is where we're supposed to be. You know our ancestors started out in Africa, right? Well, they didn't just stay there, did they? They wanted to try and find a better life, a better home. That's why humanity spread all across the planet. And as we've traveled, we've evolved. Little by little, we've grown tougher and smarter. Even our immune systems have become stronger. But if we stop moving, stop exploring, that'll stop too. We stagnate as a species, maybe even regress. That's why we can't hole up in cities. There's a whole universe beyond these chiral chords that I'd love to explore someday. But if that's not possible, then I want to at least get as close as I can. Climb the biggest mountains, go as high as I can go, try to see what lies beyond. All I want to do, and I want to do it with the love of my life, the world-class mountaineer who showed me the beauty of this place, my guiding star. Together, there's no peak we can't summit.
I wanna hold you on top of a mountain.
So this is the specific prepper that's really, really ready to go out there and strike out there and get and like not hole up. Mm-hmm. But their entire plot line was how their daughter needed medical attention, and he couldn't just make the trip himself.
Oh yeah,
we had to do it for him.
Yeah,
with the doctor who also wouldn't leave his house.
Uh-huh.
Yay! The spiritualist, also on the mountains.
I remember her. She was trippy. No one's ever been able to explain the Death Stranding, and I doubt anyone ever will. Certainly not with science. Science is only suitable for observation, measurement, objectivity. You can observe and measure as much as you like, but it'll bring you no closer to an understanding. Sometimes you need to expand your mind and open your heart.
No
Seek
closer,
the souls
though?
of
No
the dead.
closer?
Listen for the waves on the beach. In antiquity, there were no barriers between the realms. People moved freely between the earth, outer space, and the world of the dead. What are myths and legends if not records of these journeys? My research has only confirmed this. The pyramids of Egypt and Mesoamerica, the Nazca lines, Stonehenge, all gateways built by humans in order to access the beach. Surely you can see that the wisdom of the ancients has never been so relevant.
Stonehenge accesses the beach?
I don't know.
I don't know what that means.
Apparently, science isn't real.
Well,
research
oh, right. I
proves that
remember when
myths are
Asexual
real.
World showed up a while ago.
Oh, I want to read that one. When we get to that one, I want to read that one. I want to read that one and the
Unknown
Zodiac
Man's
one.
Journal. We only have 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow, they're all in order, but we only have those ones. Oh, that was probably a packet. I think we found the Unknown Man's Journal once, and we got this packet from it.
Well, we fucked up then.
Well, those are collectibles. Remember those USB sticks? We found like 3 in the entire game. They're like hyper obscure and easy to miss, and they're just kind of hidden around. I think I have no idea how common they are even.
It's all good.
Ha and ka, body and soul. The two become separated. You die, in this world at least. That death ain't the end though. So long as your soul's got a body to come back to, you can be reborn, resuscitated anyway. That's why people built coffins and sarcophagi, to preserve the body so the soul had a home to return to. I learned all this and more from an old book I found, The Wisdom of the Egyptians, chock full of interesting tidbits about death and how to overcome it, like the golden death masks of the pharaohs, the ones decorated using magical adornments as an indication of the wearer's prestige and power. I tell you what.
I'll tell you what.
If we've learned anything from the beach, it's that the Egyptians had it all figured out. That's why I've decided to give myself a mask. This is Troy Baker.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
This is Troy Baker's journal. Not a death mask, though, but one for the living, for ruling. Today's the last day anyone sees my face. I don't need it anymore.
He already took it off and showed us.
This is
face.
Troy Baker's journal.
It is, and he also talks about.
That's where they're being mysterious.
He talks about go back up. He talks about the pharaohs or whatever. What did he say?
Pharaohs and the Egyptians.
Yeah, so he's wearing
masks.
the King Tutankhamun outfit.
It's not vague at all.
It's not vague at all.
No. A Bridges Way station out west just got taken out by terrorists. Used a void out to do it. They dumped a corpse nearby to let it go necro, dropping BTs right in people's laps. Word is demons heard the Bridges was sending an expeditionary force out west to facilitate the reconstruction of America, or some such. Guess they didn't take kindly to that. Terrorists, separatists, isolationists, all these folks claim America is coming for their freedom. That the old guard wants to put them in chains, make the individual subservient to the collective. They ask what's it all for in a post-stranding world, and today's triumph is tomorrow's crater. Daddy used to sprout the same tired lines, said America never did nothing for nobody. That's why we took to living in a shelter. Better down in the hole that they're out. Better down in the hole that. Oh, that is a typo this time. It says that out there under the yeah. Better down the hole than out there under their thumb. Yeah, he was a real saint, my daddy. Tried a few times, but he just dragged me back inside, kicking and screaming. Where he'd put these heavy hands.
Oh gosh.
Put those heavy hands of his to work and remind me what had happened if I disrespected his authority. But that's love, isn't it? His way of looking after an orphan child he raised as his own. He was only trying to protect me from the evils of the outside world. I owe him my life, and my powers too. First time I ever sensed a BT was when I held him, moments before he went necro. Just like when I dumped that prepper's body. My daddy showed me that corpses are precious, powerful things. They're much more than bombs. Terrorists ought to treat them with proper respect. He held his dad as he went necro. It's distressing. That's definitely him. That's 100% Troy.
He's got this edgy ass backstory.
I think his name's Higgs. I've had us team up with a bunch of porters who service the central part of the country. Had to be done. The writing was on the wall for my crew otherwise. And guess what? Their leaders got dooms. I've got a feeling we're going to be good friends. Demons and terrorists have been getting more aggressive ever since the Bridges expedition team set out. As if BTs and mules weren't enough. Now I've got to keep our eyes peeled for those assholes when we are making runs. All the more reason we've got to come together, get organized, me and my partner. We've been talking about consolidating our operations so we can cover the whole continent. If we do, I suppose that makes us like the UCA in some respects. Different structure and methods, but similar ideology. A deep and abiding belief in the importance of community. But the devil's in the details, isn't it? Rules, structures. Can't just let people make decisions for themselves. And therein lies the risk. Can't have us repeating the sins of the past under another USA. And demons? Well, they ain't about to think for themselves. And at the end of the day, a community needs a strong leader. And God's honest truth is that I'm the only one cut out for it.
Of course he thinks that.
The rumors I've heard about the new partner's powers don't do her justice. I knew she had dooms, but she's on a whole other level, I tell you. I've never seen anything like it. Not only can she perceive BT, she can actually use the beach. Compared, is this fragile?
You're talking about fragile.
Compared to hers, my powers are nothing. Parlor tricks courtesy of a few corpses. But it don't matter. Not so long as I've got her. Before we met, I was bound by the limitations of my abilities. I was a blind man groping for shadows of a secret realm. But now, because of her, I can actually go to the beach. The beach. With her by my side, I can reshape the world. Not into what it was, but with the old USA. Not like what Bridges wants. Something new. Something everlasting. Right here and now. A world where we are free to do whatever we goddamn please. It's like he was self-aware while he was writing it that it needs to be an anonymous journal, so he's also not saying who he's talking about.
Yeah, he's like not using any names.
Even the other people in the story are anonymous.
He's like, I'm planning on doing something like terrible.
Yeah. So
I need to be very vague. If I'm writing a journal, you think if you're gonna do something terrible, don't freaking write a journal.
Yeah. My partner's powers are extraordinary, sure. But deep down, I know the two of us alone don't have what it takes to bring true, lasting freedom to the people. Everything we've done, that we continue to do, no matter how much it may seem to bring people together, it's a far cry from the way it should be. Timefall, BTs, chiral clouds, all this and more serves to cut us off from the rest of creation. And I have to say, I don't think that's ever going to change. Even people like me and my partner, we have our limits. But now, I've met someone who has none. Someone who could save the world from this madness, make it whole again, put our shattered pieces back together. I don't know if we are missing any elements of this. That felt like such a clear beginning and end to a journal that it feels like they're just implying that there was more journal by numbering it that way, like Star Wars.
Yeah.
But it didn't actually have prequels planned out.
I think a lot of games do that, where you find journal entries that are just like in the middle because they're
all in a row, and it's like a clear beginning to end. Like here's my philosophy, here's my origin story, and here's a through line up to now.
It's supposed to feel candid, so they can't make it be the first or like the last or anything. Hiccup. Sorry.
Well, there you go.
Yay! I get to read the couple of weird ones.
Counselor.
Okay, counselor. In asexual world, records suggest that the widespread aversion towards physical contact and intimacy was a phenomenon that has been observed even before the Death Stranding.
Japan.
It's
just a whole thing.
I was going to talk about hentai, but I won't.
No, I just mean like that's a whole thing with the actual flesh monsters in Japan. The people.
Flesh monsters?
Yeah.
What flesh monsters?
I'm saying like not the anime. The actual flesh people. The humans. Is the asexuality. And the lack of intimacy.
Yeah, no one's fucking in Japan right now. I'll elaborate on that some other time. But yeah, their birth rate's not very high because no one's fucking. Anyways, one contemporary report, for example, details the increasing popularity of the sexless lifestyle among young people. Who's choosing this by choice? A growing percentage of the younger cohort were self-identifying as asexual, claiming to be incapable of feeling desire or attraction. Accordingly, such individuals were less likely to have children or engage in sexual activity. It should be noted,
that's how that works.
Yeah. It should be noted, however, that many other unique sexual identities were being recognized during this period, such as demisexuals who are incapable of sexual attraction without an emotional connection, and panromantics who profess an attraction unrestricted by sex or gender, albeit one not necessarily sexual in nature.
I knew about both of those. Yay.
Oh yeah, I did too. One theory posits... I don't think I know that word.
Yeah.
Posits that the Stranding accelerated the proliferation of these sexualities.
It's like propose and claim. Posits.
I want to say post-its.
Post-its?
Yeah.
Yeah, posits a word.
I'm sure I believe it.
I believe you.
In a terrifying new world in which BTs roam and annihilation is an everyday occurrence, people have grown reticent to form emotional connections with others. Although there has been no measurable decrease in human fertility, the birth rate has nevertheless dropped dramatically. Incidents of sexual harassment and assault have also been have also seen a sharp decrease, which seems to suggest that sex could not be further from our minds, for better or for worse. I must preempt myself by admitting that I do not have any empirical data with which to support the following claim. That said, it is my contention that based on the aforementioned observations and others, the vast majority of the population could be categorized as asexual.
Dang.
So I know a lot of people
That's
who...
the world this was going to.
I know a lot of people who consider themselves asexual, and I also know a lot of people who are demisexual or like panromantic.
Yeah.
It is funny to think though that they're claiming that that the Death Stranding caused more people to be asexual. I think it's more so that in times of like great stress or war or things like that, people just don't reproduce as often because they're not focusing on that.
Yeah. Although in this particular society, there might have just been an element of like, in their world, they might have gone so far towards the extreme of it, like the majority of people being asexual, kind of like how the majority of people were isolated and so on, because that's like something specific to them. Because they have like I think they have like an exaggerated version of our world, where like people kept getting more and more isolated.
Well,
because they also have all the crazy tech and so on.
The thing that's happened, like in
my voice is like deadening.
I can read the next few if you want. The problem in Japan that people are having is very similar to this.
Yeah.
Not in that they actually identify as asexual, because a lot of people don't. They just kind of consider themselves like incels, or more so, but maybe not.
Yeah, that's about right.
Or more so that there is such a lack of intimacy in their culture that they don't feel comfortable forming like relationships with people, and so a lot of these people who end up getting married and having kids are getting married to like their friends who they don't have sexual feelings for, and just like out of obligation starting families, which sounds horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Out of obligation is pretty horrible.
Yeah, the like, oh well, I'm at that age and I need to have a kid and this and that.
Time to marry.
And so their elderly population is so large, and they live in a community that takes care of their elderly, but they're not producing as very many young people, and so they're having a lot of issues with thinking about the future. They've actually had to like start taking workers from other countries to fill in a lot of their like manual labor positions.
Yeah.
So they've been like recruiting people from China to do a lot of their labor. Because they have the opposite problem. But anyways, interesting concept.
Dooms in the Zodiac. Oh, and I think that the other ones are going to be like the actual apocalypse.
I want to read this one too because I'm interested.
Look at my Zodiac.
I can't rebuttal that. That was too good. Look at this graph.
Wow.
Astrologer. I'm not as quick as you, okay? Astrologers like me are used to having our work dismissed, incorrectly of course, as unscientific mumbo jumbo, because it is. Since the Death Stranding, more and more people have started to take an interest in what's known as astropsychology, a discipline that combines astrology with various forms of psychology. The fact that each person has a beach to which they are spiritually connected has doubtless contributed to this contributed to this trend. That doesn't make sense.
It should probably be doubtlessly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These days, there are even psychotherapists who use astrological techniques in their counseling sessions. Perhaps the most interesting recent development of all, however, is the discovery that the alignment of celestial bodies at the moment of one's birth can influence one's relationship with the condition known as dooms. Of course, chiralium in the Earth's atmosphere means it's difficult, dare I say impossible, to actually observe the constellations at any point. To come to the conclusion that they, therefore, have no effect on human lives, however, would be a foolish error indeed. I don't really feel like I've gained anything from reading that.
I don't know if it ever came up really, but at the beginning of the game, they had us put in my birthday and told me, like, you have heightened dooms, which I think everyone did.
Yeah, I was going to
say. I think they probably said that about everybody.
Yeah. I was wondering. Yeah, I forgot about that. They asked my
birthday the first thing in the game.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it didn't really. You'd think it'd come up more, but.
What's your zodiac sign?
Taurus.
Oh, man.
Damn, I guess we can't be friends anymore.
No, that's just to hate you.
That's usually what people say whenever they hear that.
Yeah, Tauruses are supposed to be assholes.
Like, what are you, this animal? Ugh.
Well, to me, they're supposed to hurt my feelings. I'm a Libra, so I'm supposed to be all like, I'm narcissistic, but like.
But we're both so balanced.
Balance.
I've got 2 horns of equal weight balancing me, and you're a scale.
I'm justice itself.
Oh God.
I'm supposed to be like a cool and collected, and like, but also kind of like emotional inside, and I'm supposed to be.
I was gonna say I don't think you necessarily represent the concept of justice in any way.
Diplomacy.
Yeah.
Like being unbiased and just thinking of things. The heart versus the head thing comes up.
These are so vague that they're all true for everyone.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Yeah.
Are you telling me that you're a complex human that feels emotions?
Yeah, how'd you know?
How can I monetize this?
Here's all my money.
Who the hell? It's just one yellow line. Why is that one yellow?
Who the hell? Oh my god.
This game's gonna take all of the yellow lines from the entire game and reorganize them into a story at the end. Like it's
that would be so
like
funny.
It's Braid or something.
That'd be great. Oh my gosh, you read them all backwards and it's like it's a whole story.
All right.
Those were the doctor's final words. At the time, no one knew to whom he was referring, and to be fair, there were more pressing issues at hand. The doctor in question was a surgeon specializing in cesarean sections. Oh goodness. The procedure he was undertaking at the time, however, was slightly unusual, in that he was operating on a mother who had been declared brain dead 7 months into her pregnancy. She had been placed on life support, but since her blood pressure was decreasing and the fetus was showing signs of bradycardia, the decision was made to operate. Because the procedure was broadcast to medical researchers on a closed-circuit network, we are fortunate to have a record of what took place. Per the footage, the incision was made without incident. The plan was apparently to remove the fetus from the womb and immediately place it in a NICU.
Nice.
No, they pronounce it NICU.
NICU?
Yeah, it's a baby machine.
Intensive care unit?
Yeah.
Natal intensive care unit?
Yeah, yeah.
Did I nail it?
Neonatal? Yeah. Neonatal intensive care unit.
Hey!
Where it would receive the necessary care. Prior to this, the surgeon would, of course, have to cut the umbilical cord. This is a moment that changed everything. The moment the surgeon's hand touched the cord, in that instant, he uttered his infamous last words. Who the hell?
That's a bummer. He just died.
Fell to the floor.
Just doing a C-section, then
was that BB?
He just dies. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
Could be anybody.
It seems special. Following a number of tests and experiments, the conclusion was reached that the incident was an annihilation event brought forth by the doctor's contact with whatever or whomever he had seen upon touching the umbilical cord. Though it eventually became apparent that the doctor had been referring to BTs, at the time, no one could explain the underlying cause of the incident. Some later theorized that if the same conditions, brain-dead mother, fetus, and umbilical cord, could be recreated, then BTs could be detected and the mystery of the Death Stranding would be solved. Indeed, this was the theoretical basis upon which the government's own experiments and investigations would be conducted. They called the fetuses they used bridge babies, and the experiments became known as the BB experiments. Soon after the government's program got underway, the tragedy of Manhattan occurred.
What's that? The C-section kills a doctor. We better figure out how to utilize this power.
So we got these ingredients. We've got the brain dead mother, the fetus, and the umbilical cord. So we got Steve from Blue's Clues, and he's sitting in his thinking chair, and he drew a brain dead mother, a fetus, and an umbilical cord in his little notebook. And he goes, what could this mean?
Let's go
and then
further.
He like solves the puzzle. And he's like, BB. That's a weird like. I don't know. What a weird conclusion to draw from that. The BB experiments were conducted at a Manhattan-based government facility in such extreme secrecy that little is known about them to this day. One thing that we do know for certain, however, is that the experiments ended in tragic failure and were directly responsible for the total annihilation of the island of Manhattan, as well as the death of the president, who had been observing operations firsthand. He was succeeded by the then Vice President Bridget Strand, who shortly after her inauguration put an end to all further BB experiments and had all data destroyed. With her strong and steadfast leadership in the wake of the void out, she made great strides in quelling the chaos and unrest that had spread throughout the nation. She vowed to rebuild America and devoted herself wholeheartedly to this end. In response, separatists who opposed Reconstruction emerged and steadily grew more aggressive in their activities. One faction even managed to acquire documents relating to the BB experiments, and some speculate that this data was used to restart them in secret. At this time, however, no BB units are known to have been successfully created, and BBs in general remained a taboo subject in government circles. No BBs
dun.
have been successfully created. This must have been a long time ago.
Yeah.
Because I have one right now. Is that the last one?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think that back, so the time none of them had been created. I feel like I didn't learn nearly as much as I thought I was going to learn over the course of this.
No, I to be honest, Keith, I didn't think we were going to learn anything.
No. Well, we did them.
So hopefully people can listen to us maybe while they fall asleep or something.
And if you think about the fucking emails, like, what if that happened more? Ain't nobody got time for that. Except for the time we just made. We did it. Now back to a regularly scheduled stranding.
Regularly scheduled stranding.